Good evening. I'm calling the regular meeting of the Reading Planning Commission for Tuesday, May 27, 2025 to order. My name is William Sinfisi. I'm the Vice Chairman, filling in the absence of the Chairman chairing the meeting. Present also are Commissioners Peter Rye, Daniel DiCarlo in person, and Commissioner James Harris, I believe, is in person also. Whereas I'm attending telephonically, thanks to the assistance of our planning manager, Simon Wingolo, who is present. And so we do have a quorum. I'd like to acknowledge the staff members present. We have of zoning, we have Emily, and who was the other person? Sorry.
Janine, and I'm the grants manager.
The grants manager, Enid. Thank you for attending. And we also have our planning consultant is present also, Jerome Skrinkoski, right?
Yes, yes.
There you are. Thank you. And is there anyone from Public Works?
Yes, Tim Kroll, Public Works.
And thank you. Did I miss any staff or any city council representatives?
No, council's meeting tonight, so.
Oh, very well. So, okay. So I believe that acknowledges everyone. If anyone else joins, let me know, please. And I ask our planning consultant once again to serve as our secretary pro tempore, please, and to take purposes of taking the minutes. Our first item is to accept the Planning Commission meeting agenda. I know there's a change on the schedule here as far as pushing one of the items to a certain time, but I'm not sure that we need to vote to make any changes just for that. Are there any other proposed changes to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the Planning Commission's agenda for this evening's meeting?
I'll do that. Peter.
Is a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second. Harris.
Second. The motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the agenda is approved. The next item is the approval of the previous meeting minutes. Did we have those presented yet?
The approval of the previous match is going to happen in our next meeting, because right now.
The next, that's what I thought. Okay, I know we got an email. We got an email about a past meeting. So I got a little mixed up. Okay, yes, we will review that next month. Thank you. And then the next item, we have the Planning Commission agenda on here twice for some reason. So we'll skip ahead next. Is there any public comment? I didn't hear there was any members of public attending, but of course staff can always comment. Hearing none. That takes us to item 7, which are subdivision and land development plan reviews. And the first one is the 630 South 9th Street parking facility, the preliminary final plan application. Is there anyone here to present on behalf of this plan? Whether in person or through Zoom?
I'm here. This is Dan. I'm here.
Good evening, Dan. Thank you.
I had talked to Jerome about this today, and we were asking for some waivers, but then Tim Kroll said that waivers aren't necessary for this, and they want to review the plans and push it over to the June meeting.
Excuse me. Very well. Jerome, do you have anything you want to present on this? We of course have reviewed this previously.
Yes, this is kind of in between meetings on this project. This was reviewed on May 7th, 2025. Dan has just submitted revised plans that would probably account for most of these comments. And then also submitted waiver requests, which we have not been able to really review at this point in time. So I would suggest that we table this, and then
Okay.
we'll focus on this specifically at our June meeting. And the only thing that we have to do is double check is, are we good on timing on this project?
I think we should be. I think, he had Grant given us a time extension. Let me double check. For that date.
But Emily does this. This is listed as preliminary final. Is there any waiver required for them to submit as preliminary final?
No, it's be classified as land development plan with minimal impacts and implications.
Okay.
Yeah, we have. a
And
time
I should
extension till
recognize
July.
Michelle Mayfield as president also, having heard your voice, our solicitor, for the record.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, thank
we're
you.
recommending tabling this. We
Yeah.
should have a review out early on this one, and then we could take the necessary actions at our next meeting.
That sounds good. Does Tim Kroll or anybody on the staff have anything to add before we proceed? It sounds like we could probably just hold off till next month, but in case there was anything you wanted to make us aware of in the meantime.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is Tim. Yeah, I would recommend to Dan, maybe we get together and have a technical meeting, maybe a Zoom technical meeting to go over the stormwater management. And I can explain why, the waivers would not be necessary. We could just work with the site the way it's being presented, just like any other site. So it'd be good just to go over that, I think, and maybe help speed things along.
Well, when do you want to do that, Tim?
This week is a little crowded. I'd say let's try for next week. Would that give you enough time?
Well, I can't really do anything till I find out your input. Do you want me to, by your email, do I have to have 20% meadow on the site?
Well, yeah, you want to go by, what we've been accepting in the past for, the last year or so. The chapter 102.8, that's where you're going to see this 20% meadow situation. But you would treat it just like you would any of the other sites that you've worked on. The difference being that using the DEP's methods actually easier to manipulate in the field. It's easier to do a design using the DEP method, and that's why we're recommending that. I would be available on Monday the 2nd. I could do a 10 o'clock. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Nope, can't do 10 o'clock. I could do either a 9 or say at 2 o'clock on the 2nd.
The June 2nd
Yes.
already. Well, I don't care what's good for you.
Let's do 2 o'clock PM.
2 o'clock. Okay, how do I do a Zoom meeting with you?
I'll send you an invite. Who else from staff would like to attend that?
I guess both Simon and
I
myself.
would like to join as well.
Okay,
So the two of us from planning office.
very good. So that's June 2 at 2. And we can talk about the stormwater and anything else at that time.
Okay, because
yeah.
one of Jerome's comments is, I think we got it at a point where he's not changing anything anymore. We finally have a plan, and I need to get it to ENS. So I can move ahead and do that too. Or should we wait till?
So that's been set up. Anything anybody else wants to add, or any questions or concerns from the commissioners? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to table the 630 South 9th Street parking facility preliminary final plan application until June, the June regular meeting.
I make a motion.
Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion, Peter.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
James is a second.
it's good to identify because I can't
sorry.
always tell who it is and for our
Stan,
secretary for minutes. Thank you. As there's no discussion on a motion to table, all those in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Aye. And opposed, no. And the ayes have it, and the motion to table has been adopted. Okay, thank you. We will see you next month, and we hope that the technical meeting will resolve everything by that time.
Okay. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Dan. I don't know if you had anything else on the agenda. I guess not.
No,
Okay.
I don't, I think that's all for me tonight. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, bye. Okay, so that takes us to the next item, which is the Morella Enterprises subdivision final plan application. Is there anyone here to present for this plan?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
My
and
name's
would
John
you,
Hofford, surveyors representing the Morella Enterprises Inc. subdivision, also known
oh,
as.
good
the
evening,
Beer
Mr.
Marts.
Hartford. It's been a while.
Good evening,
We've,
sir.
Good evening, thank you. Okay. Did you want to, because this is the first we're reviewing this plan, if you want to give us a little explanation, if you would, please?
Be glad to. The property is known as 301 Morgantown Road. For the most part, it has two different uses on the premise. We would know the block building would be known as the Beer Mart facility. And down off of Hazel Street is an existing office / garage storage building that's been in existence for many years. What's happened is this is all on one deed, although the Berks County parcel search has showed up that each building has been afforded an existing parcel number. The problem is, based on the existing language in the deeds, the one property line actually goes through the Beer Mart building. So therefore, the purpose of this particular subdivision is strictly to realign that line to be extinguished so that both lot number 1 and lot number 2 have a more accurate area in which they contain each building. All buildings are currently serviced by public water, public sewer. So there is no construction proposed by the subdivision plan at all. It's just the realignment or the lot line adjustment of the one property line.
Okay, thank you for that overview. Does our planning consultant have anything?
Yes, the plan was reviewed on May 7, 2025. Since that time, the applicant has been able to either confirm or amend the plan accordingly so that it would be compliant. Site is in the CH zoning district, and we provided the zoning data. Also, I believe Emily has checked the plan and it is in compliance. We just had noted for the record just to verify if there are any utility crossings, in which John indicated there are none. And we asked for some simple notes to be placed on the plan. Certifications would then be executed. But the plan is in good shape. The Berks County Planning Commission has reviewed it. And therefore, this plan is now in position for preliminary / final plan approval. It meets the qualifications for a revised plan of record.
All right, thank you. Does Public Works have anything?
Yeah, since there's no development on here, it's just simply a
Mhm.
subdivision plan. It's really just a zoning review.
Mhm.
So Public Works really has nothing to comment on for this plan.
Thank you. That's what I figured, but I wanted to be sure. So, Mr. Hoffman, I'm curious on a couple of things. It sounds like this is pretty straightforward. How was this discovered?
Actually, the owner, Morella Enterprises Inc., had come to us just to make sure that if they were to convey the certain deeds to a different party, that it would be in compliance with today's zoning codes. So
Uh-huh.
when we did lot the deeds, that's when in fact we found the line that actually went through the Beer Mart building.
Very well. That was part of his due diligence. That was prudent. And that kind of answers my next question, which was why a subdivision and not a consolidation of the parcel. I was figuring maybe there was a plan for a conveyance, so that makes sense. Okay, do any other commissioners have any questions or comments?
The garage building is separately owned.
It's under the same current deed, although the Berks County had assigned two separate parcels, one for each building for taxation purposes. But it is one deed, but it will be maintained. I don't know if you know this, Michael will continue to own the block building in the back, but apparently the Beer Mart facility is for sale.
Mr. Chairman, my only comment would be, we need some type of confirmation that these deeds get recorded. Some of my other municipalities require an escrow, they bring in a check, we hold on to the check until the recorder of deeds paperwork comes back, and literally hand the check back over. But just some type of affirmation or confirmation. I know Mr. Hoffer's above board, so it's not, I think it's.
Well,
just-
John Stock represents Michael in this particular case. So what I've been told is we are about to prepare a deed for lot number 2, being the Beer Mart facility. That deed will not be recorded until such time that the new owner is going to be transferred that specific tract or that land. So the subdivision will be approved. Nothing will occur until they do go to settlement, as I understand from Attorney Stock.
Including filing of the plan, recording of. the
Other than
plan.
the filing of the plan, that will be taking place, so settlement can occur. But the
Okay.
deeds will not be recorded until such time that the new owner takes possession
In
of that property.
in consideration of that, I would recommend the commission place a condition of my other municipalities do a $500 escrow that gets held until we get proof that the deeds are recorded.
Right, does that sound reasonable, Mr. Hoffert?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Unfortunately, these plans get recorded, deeds don't get done, so.
Well, if they want to sell the building, they're gonna have to eventually get there.
In this case, there's a basis.
I understand that there's no title issues. The issue is the transfer of the license to sell the alcohol. Apparently, that is the only issue that I am aware of. So as soon as they can iron that out, I am assuming the transfer of conveyance will take place. So $500 fee up front is fair and reasonable.
Thank you.
all right. Does anyone else have any other questions or concerns? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the Morella Enterprises subdivision final plan application, subject to the condition as recommended by the solicitor for the planning commission. Does anyone want to move?
Peter,
Was that a motion? I didn't hear that.
yes. Yes, it was.
Thank you. It's been moved. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you.
That was
Moved and
Dan.
seconded. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. And the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. And we have a final. plan
Well, thank
application.
you.
That's one of the quickest ones we've done.
Thank you very much, board. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Best wishes with that. Okay, well, that
Well,
takes
just so you
us
know,
to-
Nelson is on Zoom.
I'm sorry?
Well,
That Nelson has logged on to the Zoom.
Perfect timing.
We don't have to jump around. You know, what-
So we can go ahead with C, the Orchard Road?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, very well. So the next plan, thank you, is 1207 Orchard Road Sketch Plan Application. Does Commissioner Rye wish to present or someone on his behalf?
The applicant to that one plan request that we can move it to around past 7 o'clock.
Hold
Do we still need to?
Lots of different, the contractor, in this case, Berkey, Ben Curry is not available until 7.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't mind shuffling the order here so that he can participate.
Is Nelson available till 7?
Nelson, are you good for the rest of the meeting?
Well, we can move on with the rest of the meeting if you need to wait for the other party.
on.
Let's just wait and see that we have a quorum for 7 o'clock.
I think he did reach out, the applicant reached out and requested that he would like to be part of the discussion after 7. So I
Yeah.
think we have a quorum, but
Yeah, we just wanna make sure Nelson's still
Just wanna
available.
make sure
so-
Nelson-
yeah.
Oh, we're gonna try to
Everyone else.
reach him, telephone, so we would have a quorum for that. Okay, I see. I just realized you
he
meant
had
Nelson
joined
De
us.
Leon. I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Our
we're
commissioner who
making
is,
sure that,
go ahead.
we're making sure that Nelson will still be available for the rest of the meeting before we do all that.
He popped up
Right.
and-
Mr. Chairman,
Right,
I
that
made
makes
it to
sense.
the PHL. I'm here.
Oh, here you are.
Yeah, I made it to the
Good
school
evening,
special.
Commissioner De Leon. Thank you for attending.
You're welcome. I thought you needed a quorum, so.
I take it now.
Yes, we appreciate that very much and your dedication. So then we can proceed with presenting this plan.
Okay,
So, Nelson, are you good for the rest of the meeting to participate
Oh,
here?
yeah. I just came back from PHL. That's all. You know how it's school expressway getting back in town, so I'm good.
Okay.
Oh, you're good for the,
So-
great. Okay, good. We're already on the third of 6 plans, so. Very good. All right, go
So the
ahead.
request here is that we could just shuffle the order so that Orchard Road could occur around 7 o'clock.
Oh,
so
you're still
that,
waiting for your
For the presenter.
engineer, or
applicant.
whoever he is, right, okay.
Yes, architect,
Very
so,
well.
Not that I couldn't do it, but I'd just rather,
No, that makes sense. That's understandable. Okay, well, then we will proceed. We will just, move on to the next item, and we can always come back to that one. If there's no objection, hearing none, we'll move on to item D, which is the Albright Learning Commons renovation, and in parentheses, the Gingrich Library. Well, there's a question about what they're calling it now. Is there anyone to present this plan? This is another one that we've reviewed a number of times that we've approved, actually. It's going through a number of reaffirmations and iterations. So if anyone from Albright would please introduce themselves.
Hi, my name's Dave Lepaka. I'm with Ruther and Bowen. We're the civil consultant for Albright on this project.
Good evening.
Good evening to the commission and good evening to all. I guess if you guys want me to just give you a little background on what
Yes,
we're
please.
submitting at this point. As you said earlier, this plan was submitted and I believe approved in 2022 or early 23. There was a number of additions. There was some parking, there was some new sidewalks and some other items that were part of the project in addition to a patio at the I guess east entrance to the building. Since that time, Albright has engaged with the new construction management team, including an architect, mechanical, electric, plumbing engineers, civil engineers, and structural engineers, basically to redesign the plan, I guess, that was approved some. So basically the plan got dialed back quite a bit from what you guys previously saw and approved. so it's the outside of the building from a site perspective. Really the only work that's being done at this point is at the rear of the easterly side of the building. A new, stairway and accessible entrance into that portion of the building is basically what's proposed. And then along the southerly side, there is still an access where we're going to install a reinforced turf fire lane so that fire trucks could access. I believe that was a requirement from the previous submission, so that there was fire access to the site. But other than that, I mean, the plan has gotten dialed back quite a bit from what was approved previously. I did have a discussion with your civil consultant, Jerome, and based off of our discussion, it was recommended that we call this a revised plan of record, being that the other plan was previously approved. We did make submissions naturally to the city of Reading, and we did receive comments from your planning commission consultant on Friday. At this point, we haven't really had a chance to address those comments with the long weekend. We also did submit to the Berks County Planning Commission. Well, I guess the city does that. We did submit plans for them to forward on to the Berks County Planning Commission, and we also submitted to the Berks County Conservation District. We have not received comments back from either one of those entities at this point. The only comments that we did receive were from the city and your consultant, which we will be addressing shortly, and with the hopes of receiving comments from the other two, so that we can address any additional comments from either of those entities.
Thank you. Would our planning consultant please comment?
Yes, I'll be able to do this quickly. The review was issued on May 24th, 2025. As mentioned, this is a revised plan of record. The first thing we need to do is what we're calling this building. Is it going to be called the Albright College Learning Commons, or is it going to be called
Yes.
Albright College
Yes.
Gingrich Hall?
The Learning Commons is what it's going to be called.
So it's no longer going to be called the Gingrich Library.
From my understanding, no. I can confirm that though prior to. I guess I shouldn't be making that decision. I will confirm that with the college.
Okay. Yes, and then we're going to ask that we put some proper notes on the plan to indicate when this plan was reviewed and approved. I provided that on comment 3, in which you could take from that information.
Mm-hmm.
Going down to comment 6. The project was previously reviewed by the Fire and Rescue Department. They were involved with substantial conditions that were previously looked at. There was a parking and accessibility plan that was prepared by, I think, Bogia Engineering, that did reflect how the internal roads in this area were going to be improved. Some of them have been left off or not addressed, and we would like you to meet with the Public Works Department as well as the Fire and Rescue Department to discuss those internal road improvements, which appear to be partially provided.
All right, we can do that.
Moving on, the landscaping plan has changed somewhat, in which our city arborist is going to be reviewing it. They have a copy of it.
Still no
As
good.
previously mentioned, the sanitary sewage disposal when it was the Gingrich Library, there was a zero increase. We need to know if those assumptions are still correct.
Yep.
With it now being in the Okay, we need a
You need a narrative, correct?
narrative.
Yep,
We need a
okay.
narrative.
All right.
As previously mentioned, the fire and rescue department will review this to make sure that with the revisions that have been made are still accountable for. They may have made other recommendations that may not be on this plan, so we're asking them to take a look at it. The stormwater management plan should be considered as part of this project and would be reviewed, or if necessary, the stormwater management plan should be reviewed by the Public Works Department and the Planning Commission. So we'd ask that that be completed. The erosion and sedimentation control plan was, as our understanding, been prepared and submitted, and we'll need the letter of adequacy before approval. Moving down, we've asked for more notes to be applied to the plan, which deal with construction activities relative to the city of Reading, to the code enforcement, to the codes department, as well as the zoning office and fire and rescue department. And other than that, it's just some cleanup items. If there is going to be a municipal improvements agreement and stormwater management maintenance agreement, they would need to be completed as well. So although the plan did change, it was scaled back and some things were taken off and without further review by the departments that need to look at those.
We can
Okay,
do that.
thank you. Go ahead, sir.
No, I'm just confirming that we will address each of those comments.
Thank you. Public Works?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thanks. This is Tim. Yes, Mr. LaPecca, can you speak to the stormwater management report? You did submit a report, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we did run pre and post development utilizing the chapter 102 requirements. So based off of that, based off of us running those numbers, we do have a reduction in post development as opposed to pre.
Okay, are you familiar with the city's stormwater management ordinance? And you might want to take a look at the exemption
Okay.
clause in there, because what your report addressed, and the way it works here in the city is that the primary reviewer is actually Hawk Valley. And that's Jerome's team, and they have a stormwater management engineer that looks through it. I don't know if he had a chance to do that yet. I've only briefly looked at it, and it appeared that your stormwater management report addressed rate control, which noting that this is a fairly small increase in impervious, it may qualify for an exemption from the rate control requirements. But we also have volume control requirements, which would be the infiltration and water quality and stream bank. So you would also need to address it. I would strongly recommend that you do, review Chapter 505 of the Stormwater Management Ordinance, and that's available online.
Yep. All right. We'll do.
Okay. And the only other question I have is, I can't remember, Jerome, was there planning modules associated with the Gingrich Library?
No.
Okay. So we would have to, I would assume that if it's the same building and there's nothing happening in the building, that then the same would apply as far as sewer planning.
Well, that's exactly it. And we weren't sure exactly what the learning comments was. And actually, I missed the comment, which was relevant to Emily, which we'll go back to, is what is actually in the learning comments?
At this point, I'm not 100% sure. I know that they're redoing some of the interior portions of the building. I will check with the architect and the MEP as to the number of fixtures and all that, as opposed to when it was the library, to see if we do need to provide any type of planning module for any upgrades.
Right, that would
Okay.
be, right on point for the planning module. That's what I was wondering as well, because, it's not being called the library, but one wonders if the library would be relocated there. Temporarily, the last 2 years, the library has been relocated to the building at the northwest corner of 11th and Rockland Streets. I was wondering if Albright intended to center the library back into its, its main building in the middle of its campus. Did you know if that's part of the plan?
Well, I'm pretty sure that's correct, and I
Right.
think they're basically redoing some of this just because, the traditional library isn't needed as
Mhm.
much. There's not as many books. Everything's online or it could be accessed digitally. So I believe that's one of the reasons for some of the redo of the building itself.
But then obviously the space is being filled with other purposes. It was a multi-purpose building before. So I could certainly understand why Public Works would and our planning consultant would want to know how it would affect the planning module for the
I'll definitely
tour.
I'll definitely find that out and find out whether we
Right.
need to pursue the planning module process. If not, we will provide a narrative one way or the other that details what the
Right.
things are.
Thank you. Does Public Works have anything else?
That's all I can think of right now.
Or our planning consultant, anything else? Or
Yeah,
zoning?
the one thing I just, also once you get a better definition of what the learning commons is to share that
Right.
with the zoning office to make sure that the use is permissible.
Okay.
Although it
Okay,
sounds
do
like
any
it's
of the
gonna be-
commissioners have any questions or comments? Okay, I would just add, of course, I've driven by many times, I've walked by. I did see the renderings that are put out. I was trying to remember if they were different from what we had seen previously. When you say the plan has been scaled back, is it more internal than external, or?
Yeah. Well, they are redoing the exterior of the
I
building
thought it
itself.
looked a little different. Yep,
Yeah,
okay.
but they aren't doing the additions and some of the other things that were proposed on the previous plans.
That's what I didn't see from the renderings outside. Okay. So they were going to add,
I think there were
I'm
two
trying to remember
additions.
what it was, like stairwells or elevators or something. I can't remember what it was.
Well, the elevator, I believe, is still in play, but it'll be internal.
Mm-hmm,
There were two additions, I believe, proposed
right.
on the east and
North
west
and south
sides of the
sides, I think.
building. I believe it was the east and west sides of the buildings initially. But those are no longer in play. It's really the
Those are not,
exterior.
okay, that's what was missing. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering that because I didn't see that. And I remember I have to remember also several years before, we had reviewed another, I don't remember, it was a sketch plan. I don't know if anybody remembers before our planning consultant was here. I don't know if you remember that, Tim, and to keep it all straight. And I think that was oriented east to west with the additional spaces, but okay. And then there were to be these extra parts added onto it. And this latest revision or the plan that we approved in 2023. So to keep it straight, like I said, it did look different from what it was before, from what I saw on the renderings. I was just going by.
Yeah,
So that explains it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mr.
Well,
Chairman, this
go
is
ahead.
Tim. We
Yes.
received a message in the chat from Marilyn Olivo, who, and I'm not sure who she is, but she's making the comment that the library will be there.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you, Marilyn.
Maybe our
Olivo.
engineer knows who that is. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Marilyn, if you would
Oh,
like,
you're with Quandel.
he's with
Okay.
Quandel, who is
Okay.
Hey, that's the company I saw, the builder, I guess. Yes.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
name on the fence. Very well. Thank you. So that confirms it. Okay, so
Mr. Chairman, I have
it
a
sounds like
question.
there's a number of things that will, things that need to be reviewed, and notes on the plan, but the main thing is that we're making progress on this. is we don't have the comments from the Berks County Planning Commission, which we need before we can vote to approve any plan. It doesn't say on the agenda, but this would be, the plan here was for what would it be?
A
Revision
revised
to
plan of record.
revised plan of record?
Correct. Is that correct, Jerome?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have
Mr.
that,
Chairman,
yes.
if I
Go
could just
ahead.
confirm that they have no desire to develop anything that was under the prior plan that's not gonna be noted on the revised plan of record. With the understanding that the prior plan will now be null and void and replaced with this.
That's correct.
Just so everybody understands. Okay, thank you. I just wanna make sure everybody
Okay.
understands that. Thank you.
Right, so that's a good point. It's not that we're taking the existing plan and modifying it. It's basically being replaced in whole
Correct.
with
Yes.
a lot of similarities, but being replaced by a totally new plan, right?
Yep.
So yes, we would definitely have to have the Berks County Planning Commission's comments before we could proceed to a vote. But usually they do not take long, and that gives time for all the other matters to be addressed that were mentioned by the staff earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, unless anybody else has any other comments, questions, concerns, it would be in order now, a motion to table this plan until, would next month be sufficient? Does everybody think?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we could table it till the June regular meeting? All right, is there a motion to that effect?
So move.
Motion, Commissioner De Leon, is there a second?
Here.
Seconded, and as this is a motion to table, we proceed right to the vote. All those in favor of tabling this plan until the June meeting, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. And the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We're making progress. We're hoping that everything will be resolved next month and we could give an approval then. Thank you for coming before us and presenting.
Yep. Thank you.
Good
We'll see you
night.
next month. Yep. Thanks.
Okay. So that takes us, still not 7 o'clock yet, so we'll go next in order. It takes us to E, which is the McDonald's Restaurant Land Development Plan, the condition of approval. And again, this is a plan we've previously reviewed and approved, I believe. Is there anyone here representing McDonald's?
Hi,
And this is
yes.
the McDonald's for the public that at Ninth and Spring Streets. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Hey, good evening. I'm Tom Kriebel here from Bowler Engineering. I'll be presenting on behalf of McDonald's for the McDonald's land development at 901 Spring Street. As prior mentioned, this application prior received conditional approval from the Planning Commission on October 22nd of 2024. And we are here for the reaffirmation of the plans. There's not much subject matter on the land development plans, as there's not been any significant changes to the plans outside of a few minor changes due to the HOP process that's required. I'm not sure if I need to recap the project, as it is fairly straightforward and there haven't been any real changes since October, or if it would be best to just get into the latest letter that we've been provided, and I can go through a few updates on the conditions.
Thank you. Good evening. I would say, just for the benefit of the public and for the record, this is a plan basically to replace the existing McDonald's with the newly built one, if I'm characterizing that correctly.
Yep,
with some
correct.
changes, particularly with the drive-through, as I recall. And you had received a review letter. If you would just highlight the main points, and then I'll let our planning consultant go through any ones that he feels should be addressed, instead of going through each and every point.
Yeah, of course. So Number 4 on the letter is regarding city arborist approval. We received email approval on May 16th. Regarding DOT approvals, those are currently still underway. We have not received any final approvals on that. Regarding fire department approval, we had prior received approval in August of 2024. However, per the letter, it indicates that we should receive a final approval from the department. So we can send them the latest plans and we can get that coordinated and work that out. Sewer planning approval is another external item. We received all items back from the city regarding that module, and we will be submitting to DEP in the coming days here. The latter portion of the letter is, pretty straightforward regarding municipal agreements and escrow and signatures, and I think those are really the main items there that I just covered.
Right. Those last ones are the usual standard for every project.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Is the planning consultant, please comment?
Yes, I think we skipped over the PennDOT requirement, the HOPs. That would need to be done, and then also the $5,000 that was going to be donated to the city of Reading for use on its park and recreation
Oh, yeah.
facilities. That would need to be incorporated into the municipal improvements agreement. There will be a municipal improvements agreement with this project, as well as stormwater management maintenance for this project.
Okay, for HOP, for the public and newer members, the highway occupancy permit, I know Department of Transportation was referenced. Is the applicant waiting for approval for the HOP?
Yep. Yes. Currently, we are still awaiting approval and going through that process.
How far into it are you in terms of months?
I'm not sure on the exact amount of months, but if I had to just give a reference of the process, we're probably 3/4 of the way through. The
Very
latest
well.
review letter that we received was very minimal comment wise, so I think we're
Okay,
getting close.
good. Well, that takes us, unless anything else you had, Jerome? That takes us into Public Works.
Yeah, I just had a couple things on the highway occupancy permit. It is a very involved highway occupancy permit since you're fronting on 2 state highways, not just one. And you've got HOPs for both the driveways, the curb and sidewalks, and the utility connections. And you've got a signaled intersection at that corner too, just to make it even more interesting. I think all the way through it, as far as what the city needs to provide, you've got the city council's ordinance on the no parking to help out with that one driveway on North 9th Street. And you still need my signature on the drawings for the signal. And I had requested from your consultant, Tom, TPD, that Tom Walter of TPD review that signal diagram. Does that make sense to you, Tom?
Yep. Yes, that makes sense.
Okay.
That's clear.
As soon as I can hear back from TPD that Tom Walter has reviewed it and he's happy, I'll sign it and get it right over to TPD for you.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Other than that, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So how about any questions or concerns from the commissioners? So I'm just trying to remember again from the agenda. Is this a reaffirmation or what are we being asked to do here? Sorry.
It's a reaffirmation.
It is, okay.
Yes, correct.
It's also, and then it's also a summary of the remaining conditions of approval.
Here,
That's what I was thinking, right. So did somebody want to add something? I heard a voice.
Mr. Chair, concern is, do you think you'll get through the HOP within 90 days, or do you want to defer the reaffirmation until you're closer to get it reporting? And also, if you could send me an email, I can send you the sample agreements. The bad comments to the developer, both those are to the developer.
That's a good point. You should throw in the planning modules too, because DEP has to perform their review.
So I understand why you're here for reaffirmation. I just don't know if you're ready. My recommendation would be to defer until you're ready to report. But that's ultimately up to McDonald's as to how they want to proceed.
Yeah, and we can't do the reaffirmations more than 90 days.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking, 90 days is a decent amount, but 120 would probably be more ideal. So
Mhm.
I think we would probably want to hold on that.
If you want to come back in 2 months, maybe you'll know when you're closer, and then that would give you 60 days with a little bit of a cushion to get it reported.
Yeah, just to be safe.
So would you
Okay,
ask the
so-
commission to take?
Go ahead, Michelle.
I said, would they request the commission to table the request for reaffirmation this evening?
That's what I was going to ask. Thank you. I didn't hear you, but yeah, so it would probably, because we can't do an reaffirmation, it would make sense to table it until the July meeting. That's 2 months.
Yeah, what I would suggest to developers, see where they are beginning of July, and if they think they're within 60 days or 90 days of getting reported, ask to be on the agenda for late July for reaffirmation.
Right, because we could always table it again in July for another month or two if we had to, but that way at least we'll get a progress report in July. Would that sound like a good timeline, sir?
Yes, that sounds good.
All right, everybody with staff thinks that would be prudent?
I agree.
Yes.
All right, and unless there's any other comments or questions from commissioners, the chair would entertain a motion to table the McDonald's Restaurant Land Development Plan reaffirmation plan until the July regular meeting. Is there a motion?
I'll do that.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second. Harris.
And it's been seconded. All those in favor of tabling this plan until July, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, aye. Opposed, no. And the ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. Okay, thank you, sir. We're hoping you'll get some word from PennDOT and make further progress on the other matters, and that we'll have something to consider for approval in July. And if not, at least we'll be 2 months closer.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Send me either send Jerome an email or send me an email so that I have your email and I will forward you the sample agreement so we can get that ball rolling in the meantime.
All right. Yes, we'll do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are at 7 p.m., but we could go on to the last plan before we come back to Orchard Road if the applicant's representative is not available yet.
Jeff,
So if that's the case,
hurry on the way.
pardon me,
That's it. Why don't you go to
Okay.
the next one?
go to the next one. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so we will go, next is the Reading School District STEM School Academy, LDP Status and Improvements Agreement Form. And this is another plan that we have approved already, and I know there were some changes made, so is someone here to represent the applicant for this plan? Good evening. Anybody?
I think we were just.
Is somebody on Zoom, maybe?
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone here. I think where we are with this and, we're gonna be since some of the work was done and for reasons likely changing in staff, at the time, the plans were not recorded, the agreements were not executed, and substantial work
Right.
has been done. So I think this is just more information for the commission, is that we are revising the improvements agreement to reflect that work has been done and revising the cost estimate. My understanding is we're waiting for their feedback on the revised agreements and resolution of the outstanding fees and cost estimate.
So, well,
Oh,
we
thank you.
also,
So the applicant's not requesting action. This is more because of the changes that have been made. Go ahead, our planning consultant would please comment.
So, well, we issued the letter, which is, it combines three things. It's a summary of the land development and municipal improvements agreement, requirements, the status of the plan, and also they ask for a municipal improvements escrow release, which is escrow release number 1. I
Right.
contained all three of those subjects into one letter.
Do we want to take action on the escrow release, or do we finalize the improvements agreement on that?
We should do
Go ahead.
everything together.
Okay.
So we should wait on the escrow release till we have everything, as you're saying?
Well, I think it's a substantial release, so
We should probably authorize the release so we can reflect that in the improvements agreement. Did they actually post that estimate? Or we're just reducing the cost estimate?
the first thing we need to do is approve the plan or reaffirm the plan that's in front of us, so we can re-record that. Along with that, we have to take the municipal improvements agreement and the stormwater management maintenance agreement and approve that, and then record that with the land development plan. Then, after that, which we can do all three tonight, if everyone's here, we could do the escrow release, authorize the escrow release.
But they never officially posted escrow, did they?
No, that's what we had
So we're actually just reducing the cost estimate, not the escrow release.
nope. We're going off the new dollar amounts that they had given.
Also,
So they gave us new cost estimates.
okay, and we're taking money off of that?
Yes,
Okay.
So we're not releasing anything from just changing the cost estimate, right?
no. So once again, the first thing we have is the plan itself, the land development plan, which we're going to reaffirm the approval of. Then the second thing is the municipal improvements agreement and the stormwater management maintenance agreement, which reflect the conditions of the revised plan, which needs to be endorsed and recorded with the approved land development plan. Then if that's all good, then we can consider the municipal improvements escrow release. Because they have now posted, they will be posting the specific amount. And we would then be able to reduce that amount accordingly. If that's too complicated, we could just do the first item and just reaffirm approval. I did all three because that's what they asked for.
I'm fine
Well,
doing
what do
that,
you
but I just don't
recommend?
know.
I just wanted to be prepared for all three.
Since we're not actually holding any escrow, I don't know that we need to, we're just,
That was part of what the Zoom meeting was, that we had
okay,
asked
Okay.
that they're asking for money back, but it doesn't necessarily have to be done tonight. I was just going by all the information that they had given us.
I would recommend that maybe we can hold on it a little bit so that we have someone from their office to actually request their expertise.
So approve the plan and the agreements, and then we can talk about the escrow release next time.
yes.
Okay, so your recommendation, we consider approving or reapproving the plan. first, and then we'll proceed to the other matters. Okay. Well, before I do that, does anybody else have anything? Public Works, commissioners? So again, we would be voting simply to reaffirm the plan?
And then a second motion to affirm the revised improvements
yeah, right.
agreement to reflect.
Right. But
Yes.
one motion at a time, right? So we'll get to that next, thank
Yes.
you. So first motion would be to reaffirm the plan, right?
Yes,
Jerome?
I'm sorry. Heather,
Okay.
your motion.
Yes.
Very well, okay. So, so that way we can get to all the other things, okay. So is there a motion to reaffirm the Ready School District STEM School Academy LDP Status and Improvements Agreement form? Well, I guess it's really the plan. To reaffirm the Ready School District STEM School Academy plan. Is there a motion to reaffirm?
Make a motion.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Anyone? And seconded, thank you. All right. And is there a discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed, no. And the ayes have it, and the motion is agreed to. We have reaffirmed the plan. Now that takes us to the second motion. And what was that again? Was about the municipal improvements plan?
Municipal improvements agreement and the stormwater management.
I mean, agreement, yeah. I'm sorry, municipal
wanna break
agreement,
them up?
municipal improvements agreement, and the other agreement was what?
Stormwater management maintenance agreement.
Oh, yeah, the stormwater should we do those together as one?
Yes.
We should, okay. Is there a motion to that effect
Yes.
to approve? All right. Is there a motion to approve those agreements?
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
Second, Harris.
Second, thank you. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of approving the municipal improvements agreement and stormwater plan, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, no. The ayes have it. And those are adopted. Now that takes us to the third part. Okay, so what are the
Third part, you don't-
recommendations here?
For the third part, you don't necessarily have to take action, but I did provide you
Mhm.
a detailed summary. This project will
Mhm.
have a new cost estimate of $2,106,600. They're
Mhm.
62% complete of the project. And they will be seeking an escrow release of $1,311,700. We still need to confirm how much that they're looking for as reimbursement with for administrative and inspection fees. We have not concluded that just yet. So I would make the
Okay.
recommendation that we table this for until next month. And
Okay,
but you should keep.
okay. I know in your review letter, you went into you enumerated each item. Thank you. And gave all the
There's-
percentages and all that. So unless anyone has any questions or comments, does Public Works have anything to add on those?
Just the only question was, I think somebody raised the question, was this 2.5 million escrow actually paid to the city? Or are we holding 2.5 million?
Not yet, but it will. So once the agreements are endorsed, the report that goes along with it. The old agreement was it was over $1 million, but the new agreement with everything else included is now, the revised estimates were 2.1 million.
But But we're giving them
But-
credit for work done.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah, which brings it down to that middle. Yeah, the $953,000 middle item, or the middle row that he added. So I'm thinking that the escrow will actually be the $953,000 amount.
no,
Which is,
they gave us new cost estimates to,
oh,
to update those. So those
Oh.
equal $2,106,600.
yeah,
They are seeking a release of $1,311,700, which I itemized. And then we're gonna
Right.
hold $794,900, which
oh,
is 38% of what's left. We still need to like figure out the dollar amounts for
mhm.
administration and inspections.
Okay, well, I have those numbers on the one I got on the 15th.
Yeah, that's
5/15.
what I was working,
Okay,
that's what I was working on.
right.
All right,
So,
so, go ahead, Tim.
yeah, so my understanding was that the escrow would be for the total of all of that, the 794 plus the administration and contingency for 953, or almost 954,000. That's where that
Do
number.
you recall at the meeting I had asked that they put an additional column? So one
Yep.
column reflects the total cost, and then the
Right.
next column refers to the percent of the remaining
Right.
cost, and then what the reduction would be. So if you look at that one, which was issued on, it was, I think, the day after or that same day, it does reflect that. So
Oh.
he does have a total cost estimate of $2,106,600 in total construction costs, of which they're seeking to have it reduced by $1,311,700,
700.
which would
Mhm.
leave $794,900. So those columns now make sense.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad it makes sense to you all. That's good.
Yeah, you have to
So-
look at it. Yeah, it's kind of an after the
So,
fact thing, so it's a
if-
little confusing.
Yeah,
So we
so
can wait, we
that's
can-
good you're figuring it out. Thank you. So if I'm understanding correctly then, Jerome, so we originally did escrow the $1 million+ figure when we approved the plan the first time. And some of that has been used or released. And so when you talked about that part, and then that we're retaining this part and releasing that part, whatever, it's not that we haven't had any escrow. We had from the first part, but because there's changes to the plan, it's a $2 million figure altogether, if I'm understanding this correctly, right? And that's what you're figuring out, what part was used and what needs to be provided by the district. Is that a fair characterization?
Now,
No, Will, what it is that they never recorded any agreements or anything. So now that work has been substantially done, the number that needs to be reflected in the agreements is lower.
Okay.
So
Emily, I
they-
think to answer
they
his
never-
question is, there was no escrow. In other words, the city is not holding
Yes.
any escrow for the
There
construction.
was never any escrow?
No,
No, because there was
Oh,
no
okay,
agreement.
so we talked about releasing, like, well, what do we release? Maybe it was just because that's the normal way we express it. Okay.
Yeah.
And I do remember reading that in the review that, thank you, Emily, that reminded me that, yes, because they didn't provide that and that there were changes, so we're not releasing anything. It would just be authorizing, I don't know how to express it, but yeah, okay. So we all understand.
Yeah, we're not gonna. Let's just do the first two things. Reaffirm the
Right.
plan, which we did. And then
Mhm.
have the municipal improvements agreement and stormwater management maintenance agreement approved, which we did, and then let's worry about the municipal improvements agreement next. Release, the escrow release number
Okay.
1 next month.
All right. Now, is it a separate escrow when there's a municipal improvements agreement from what is for the rest of a plan, when there is one? And same thing for a
Yes.
stormwater? Are those all separate funds?
No, stormwater is included in the municipal improvements agreement.
For the construction.
That's included with that,
For
but,
construction.
Stormwater,
go ahead.
and then the inspection fees and the stormwater agreement are now billed. rather than escrowed.
Oh, okay. But these are separate escrows, right?
Yes, separate funds, yes.
Or separate funds in this case, right? Is it standard practice to escrow? I thought it was, but I guess we just didn't come up with the cost. What was it? Is this different from the norm?
This, because it's change of staff, the plans just never got, the agreements never got signed.
They never
And
got
the plans just
recorded.
never got-
Okay, I see.
There's
Okay, I
a
was
couple
wondering
more
what
like
happened.
this.
Go ahead.
There are others like this.
Oh, this is not the only one.
Well, they
Okay,
wanna-
we don't always get into all the details on the escrows unless it comes up when it's, somebody's requesting or there's some dispute or something. So it's not something that we're as well versed in as usual. So I didn't know what the standard practice was. So it does happen occasionally. But I'm sure it's not too much of a concern. I'm sure the district will be good for it. But as long as, of course, we make the determination next time on for the amounts and then have everything recorded. So at least we took the steps we needed to take. So is the recommendation to table? Did they actually request the release of the funds or whatever we're calling it? So is that an item that we would need to table?
Yes, they requested the release, but there's still an open issue with the administration and inspection fees, which they claim is a certain amount. And we have run that by finance and zoning in order to determine what that actual amount is. That is,
I see.
that is
Okay.
being, that was provided, and the amounts differ, they've got to be the same.
Right. So because they've requested an action item, we would need to, the recommendation would be to table this should we table it till next month?
Yes.
Okay. So that is the recommendation, to table the request for the release of the funds until the June regular meeting. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll do that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
I'll second. Harris.
Second? Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of tabling this request until next month, please say aye.
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 And opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion to table has been approved. Okay, and that's everything on that item. Thank you. And so now we built up a lot of suspense for this 1207 Orchard Road project. Is everyone present to present this plan?
Yeah, and I'm Ben Curry from Berkey on the call here. I just wanted to say thank you guys for adjusting. I'm don't like doing that, but a family thing came up, but I appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for shifting.
You're welcome. And if you would like to present an overview of this plan briefly, please.
Sure. So the gist of it is that the existing property is pretty historic in nature, although not historically landmarked or anything, but you know, about 3 acres. Peter can correct me if I'm wrong on the acreage there, but the
3.5.
3.5. So there's plenty of lot area. It requires a lot of equipment and, to maintain it. The owners are looking to, create a carriage house, garage, outbuilding, if you will, to have some equipment. And that's currently being stored off-site in a garage that's been, that's actually belongs to the museum, and the museum would like it back. So we need to get the equipment on site, and we're looking to do that in a way that keeps with the historic nature of the building. And it's over the size limit for the zoning ordinance. Zoning has approved the or has given us relief from that restriction pending planning commission approval. And so that's why we're here. We had some discussion with the engineer, Jerome, and I've communicated, or he did his review. And it looks like the improvements are not going to adversely affect the property. We're requesting a waiver from the land development requirements. The building that we're constructing is on existing impervious coverage. It's a motor court. We're just really reclaiming space that's already used, that's already paved, and drainage facilities that are already in place. So we're not adding really any impervious. I think we're adding 24 square feet of impervious coverage or something. So we're way under the allowable limits. I would say in regards to stormwater, our Peter and Lee have hired Berkey so that we will do basically treat this as a commercial project. We're gonna handle stormwater runoff and everything with industry best practices as it is. I don't particularly think it's necessary to get into E&S and all that, but obviously we're at the mercy of the decision of the planning commission. So anyway, that's the reason for our request of waiver. We'd like to avoid some of those more stringent requirements. We think we're doing something sensible and not destructive to the property that will add value, add character, and really serve to sustain and improve this historic property for a long time. So.
Thank you for that overview. Does our planning consultant have anything?
Yes, this was reviewed as a sketch plan, but we identified the future requirements that were going to come up, and we cited that the plan may qualify for a waiver of the land development plan requirements, and that those are noted on this plan, in which the building envelope for the carriage house would be 2,133 square feet. Typically, that would require a land development plan right there, but carriage house is also located over portions of the motor court. And if you look at the net increase of impervious surface, it's going to be 24 square feet. So that's minimal. There is also the area of disturbance, which is going to be about 5,000 square feet. And that would require an erosion and sedimentation control plan. So if a stormwater management plan is not required for the project, then we could also then entertain that a land development plan can be waiver can be submitted and considered for this project, since it's going to be over those surfaces. They already had zoning relief, so those would be the main things we would be looking at for this project. So I would then just ask Tim for his perspective on the stormwater management requirement for this project.
Yeah, thanks, Jerome. Yeah, this is Tim. Yeah, and I tend to agree with the recommendation from our consultant, from Jerome, on stormwater management, because it is so small. It does, in my review of it, the motor court, the part that's being repaved would not apply, because you're basically just maintaining an existing paved surface, but you are putting the new carriage house over existing paved surfaces, and it is over the de minimis, which we have been unofficially using as 1,000 square feet. I think your carriage house is somewhere around the 2,000 square foot mark, which is still not very much. Mr. Curry, could you discuss from the drawing? I'm looking at the proposed impervious coverage is a negative 2,100 square feet. Does that mean you're actually reducing the existing coverage? You're actually proposing less total impervious coverage?
Well, so there is so I think when I had done those calculations, I had to separate impervious coverage from building coverage. So I think that impervious coverage goes down, but the total impervious counting paved surface and building coverage goes up by 24 square feet.
That's okay.
The other aspect to this is there's a tennis court on the property. That's going to be going away and really reducing the impervious. We were not at that point when this was submitted, so that's not reflected here, but it actually is going to be reduced by a couple thousand square feet that probably will offset this entirely.
What will be replacing the tennis court?
Grass.
Oh, okay. Because even though it is about 1,000 square feet over the de minimis, which is not much, if you can show that you're reducing the total impervious by a few hundred square feet, which is really all that would apply because you're building over top of already impervious coverage. That's redevelopment. So we use the DEPs and they've got this 20% meadow rule. So now you're talking about a few hundred square feet that you have to address, which is almost not even worth considering. But if you're also offsetting that by replacing some existing impervious with grass, that makes it go away. And there's where I tend to agree with Jerome and Hawk Valley and their recommendation to say that stormwater management for this development is not required. So that's a long way of saying I agree with Hawk Valley's recommendation to ignore or to disqualify the stormwater management.
So we could put that on the sketch plan, and then that could be attached to the zoning permit, and then that way we have that information documented.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, anything else from staff? Okay, and as Commissioner Rye is a member and he's an applicant, I understand he is recusing from when we get to a vote, the discussion thereof and any vote. I want to make sure he said anything he wanted to say before we get to that point as the applicant. Anything else, Commissioner Rye?
No, I am recusing myself now that Nelson's on the call. Thank you, Nelson, for.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner De Leon, for helping us so we can. It wasn't even just the quorum; it was so we can have the sufficient number of votes. So, question. So, what year was the house built, approximately?
The house was built in 1927. 1927.
And what architect?
The architect was Charles Louis Bowman, who actually started his career at McKim and Mead and White in New York, probably the most storied architecture firm in the country.
Oh, wow. And what architectural style is it?
It's Tudor. It's what Bowman specialized in. There's another Bowman house across the street that's was the Seventh-day Adventist church office for a long time, but has now gone into the hands of the folks that own the villa, St. Elizabeth. But yeah, that's
right.
Those are the only two Bowman houses in Reading.
Okay.
The house was originally built by the person who developed Wyomissing Park, the original Wyomissing development, along with the textile guys. He was the fourth partner. His name was Urban Imping. He was the fourth partner in the Wyomissing Development Corporation. He built 500 houses in Wyomissing. He built the hospital, the original structure. He built the museum. He donated the land for the museum. So it's really a significant property for the community.
Yes, well, thank you for that information. That's interesting. I appreciate that as a historian who is interested in architecture. So the style of the carriage house will be consistent with that of the house, I presume.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it will look like it was always there.
That's the idea. Great. but you'll have some monument or marker or something that, so that it could, indicate that it's a new construction that's meant to look like the building it's associated with.
We have the original plans, from Bowman, which are, this whole purpose of work is housed at Cornell University, where he was educated. We have a copy of the originals.
Terrific. Well, that's the way to do it. Great. So I don't think I had any other question. Customarily, when we do a waiver for a plan, we ask for a set of as-built plans in exchange, if that would be acceptable to the applicant.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. We plan to do a set of as-built detailed drawings for record anyway. So as long as Peter's okay with us providing it, I'm happy to provide it.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Does any commissioner have any question or concern? I'll just add, that's good. The part with the museum makes sense. I didn't realize that from reviewing the review letter. I'll just add in full disclosure, for a time when I served on the Reading Museum Foundation was one of the points, it overlapped with the time that Lee Rye served on that body as well, and she did so very ably. So this all makes sense now, and so it's something good also for the museum and therefore the school district and the community. I don't have any other questions or concerns. So the recommendation would be to approve the waiver from land development. Did I understand that there still has to be an erosion and sediment control, but that's not something we need to attach as a condition or something, is it?
No, that's required regardless.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to be sure. Okay, that's separate from, all the sewage aspect and all that, stormwater, I should say, stormwater.
Right.
So there wouldn't be any conditions, it would just be a waiver. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I think we've covered everything. So is there a motion to waive the 1207 Orchard Road plan from land development?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. And I don't know who moved and seconded, if that was heard. So as long as that's recorded, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the waiver request, please say aye.
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 Aye. And opposed, no. The ayes have it. And in this case, is there an abstention?
Yes, there is.
There's an abstention, right, for the record. So they will record this as 4-0-1, right?
Yes. And there's
Is that what everybody heard? Very well. Thank you.
There's
Go
a
ahead,
memo that-
Michelle.
There's a memo that Commissioner Rye has to prepare that goes along with the minutes that I will circulate for him to complete, just stating why he abstained.
Very well. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, well, that, I think, concludes that matter and the plan part of our agenda. And I have to get back to the rest of the agenda.
Thank you
Here.
all.
Give me one moment. Go ahead, sir.
No, I just said thank you. I'm gonna hang up.
Thank you. Yes, appreciate it. And we wish you well with this project.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. Okay. So that takes us to number 8 on our agenda. Number 8 is plans requiring time extensions. Are there any?
There is none at this
I heard
moment.
something, but is there any plan needing an extension?
No,
Okay, very well. All right, that's good. That takes us to number 9. Plans requiring reaffirmation. Well, we did some already. We did the McDonald's and the STEM. We did both of these already during the course of the meeting, right? So are
yes,
there any others?
no,
We've completed that one then, number 9, right?
yes.
Yeah, there's a bit of a lag. That's why I'm not always hearing everything and and okay. Great. And then I noticed it more on the phone than on the internet. Okay, that takes us to number 10, escrow release. Albright Exeter Hall LDP municipal improvements maintenance escrow release. This is a separate project from the one we discussed earlier. Go ahead, Jerome, if you would present on this,
Yes.
please.
We received a request for the release of the remaining funds, which are currently now maintained in maintenance. The last time we looked at this plan was in November of 2023, in which we reduced the escrow to a maintenance bond. That's basically 15% of the construction cost and held for an 18-month period. So site inspections have been conducted periodically, but this was the final inspection. And the first thing is to report is that there are 18 trees that are dead. It's been confirmed, that has been confirmed by the city arborist. There are also several shrubs and landscaping enhancements that did survive either, and then those would also need to be replaced. There are significant areas of or bare patches of lawn that are throughout the site. There are 3 traffic control signs where the parking lot intersects with various roads. They're bent over or damaged or need to be replaced. The handicap ramp at the northeast corner of North 11th and Exeter Street is not painted or does not contain the rumble strips. The existing driveway apron on Bird Street has not been converted into a curb segment. And the solid waste management disposal pad area is not large enough to hold its containers, and it does not contain a security gate. So in conclusion, we are recommending that the funds not be released until those items are corrected. I never was in a position before, coming up on 40 years, where things have failed this much, but they need to be corrected. So I'm recommending that the remaining funds be not released until they be corrected. Tim?
Okay. Does Public Works have anything to add?
Yeah, I deferred to Jerome and Lester to do the inspection. So I'm hearing this for the first time. I agree with him entirely.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the review letter and the photograph, and I guess I didn't see some of it because it's on the sides where I don't drive by, and it's like, it's like kind of shocking to see that there's no, for this, like the trash in particular.
Yeah, I could maybe understand the trees and the grass because we had a 6-month
right.
drought, but
Right.
the other items, yeah, that they need to be addressed.
Yeah, and the driveway that's still there, right? So, okay, well,
Yeah.
thank you, gentlemen. Is there any comment or question from, if not any other staff, from commissioners?
I was just asking Jerome how much the remaining escrow is.
Good question, Commissioner.
I do not know the answer to that question, but it was not a significant amount. It's in the maintenance bond that we held. We have the letter that was issued on November 2023 with respects to it was my letter. It would have the amount that was left, and then was to be.
Do you remember? What date in 2023?
I'm thinking it was November 2nd.
1 second.
You remember that and you don't remember the number.
Pardon me, I'm sorry to interrupt. Would it be possible for me just to address a couple quick things? My name's Jeffrey Goldstein. I'm the developer and owner of the site.
Oh, yes, appreciate you attending. If you'd like to add anything, go ahead, sir.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to, again, I received a copy of Jerome's letter Wednesday afternoon and was trying to get everyone together between then and now just to try and understand some things. I had tried to reach out to Albright College and to the construction manager on this, mostly because once we were completed, the terms of our lease agreement with the school require them to do some of the maintenance, or all of the maintenance of the building and the site. And again, I appreciate whoever made the comment about the drought. I did ask everyone to go out, so we're going to be tomorrow. They're going to go out and get some quotes to replace those trees, and I saw some of the pictures and the shrubs. My understanding, and again, if this wasn't the case, when we finished the project, I thought everything was built to plan. So for the curbing and some of the handicap, that's being dealt with right away. And someone's going to go out, whether it's the school or our construction manager, to go out and fix those street signs. I'm assuming, and again, I apologize, I'm just not regularly in the area, in the last 18 months since we finished construction. I'm assuming a car or somebody banged into those signs. My understanding from the school, and again, I'm just looking down the list here with the trash enclosure, what I was told is that there were extra dumpsters put out there because the students were moving out the last week or two at the end of the semester. There normally aren't that many there. Again, I can't speak to it, but I'm going to look into that. And as it relates to the grass, my understanding from the school is despite having all of those sidewalks that come down from the building, the kids just walk on the grass. And so some of those patches, if I'm looking at the pictures correctly, are from there. We'll look to reseed that. We'll look to have the trees replanted. I don't have a problem going through all that. The other pieces, again, I've asked our construction manager and the engineers to just tell me what wasn't done and we'll get it replaced. I guess my question to the group is the way our current escrow, the maintenance bond works is we hold a letter of credit with our lending institution where the city is the beneficiary of that LOC. To the extent that those trees can get replaced, to the grass, what is the process from here forward? I just would like to get an understanding of that if possible. Again, because, and I understand some of those things have to be replaced. They will be. I understand, we're working with the school to figure out who's going to do what. I just kind of want to make sure I understand once we get those trees replaced, we can ask them to reseed the lawn in those areas where the kids are walking across the grass. Fixing the street signs, is just we'll put them back. What happens next?
So first thing we found out was that $120,695.71 was reserved for the maintenance period. We don't
Correct.
need all
And I
of
was
that.
going to share that. Yes, I'm sorry.
So we don't need all of that. So what we could do is look to see what we can correct in an interim fashion and what can be then say held for a small term or until it's fixed, or we're not going to know that the trees survive for another 18 months after this. So I mean that's just the way it is. But one thing
I guess
we also want.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing, I mean, there are certain things that you can take. First of all, who's ever mowing the lawn, they're mowing it way too short. You're never going to be able to establish turf in that situation.
And I appreciate that, but that's the college maintaining the property under their lease agreement. And truth of the matter, under the ground lease agreement, I don't own that ground; they do. So, and I appreciate that, but as the developer, I mean, I can't control how they do that. I'm no longer responsible for that.
But the signs you definitely can take care of. Handicap
Absolutely.
ramp you can take care of. The converting the driveway apron to a curb, you can take care of that, and then the solid waste disposal facility you can take care of. The trees can be replaced, and I think once we know that those are all accomplished, then we can consider the release of either all of it or a portion of it.
And
Yeah,
Jerome,
probably wanna-
I'm sorry, Jerome, you mentioned something about the handicap ramp and the detectable warning surface, the bumpy part. Did you say there was a
Yeah.
ramp that was missing? Did it fall off
Yeah,
or was
so
it
on,
never?
No, the handicap ramp on North 11th and Exeter is not painted red, and it does not contain the rumble strips. The handicap
Yeah,
ramp is there. It's in the picture of it. It's the
Right.
page 2, bottom right.
Okay, and was that part of the plan? Was that something that this project
Yeah.
was to install? Yeah, that needs to be installed, and that's
Okay,
to
and they're
put-
going to take care of that. When I reached out
Yeah.
today, the explanation I received was they removed and replaced what was there, but they're going to take care of that.
Okay.
I guess my question is, we can replace those trees again, but am I hearing that this is then going to stay open for another 18 months? Because,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't think that is completely fair. Tim, I've never been in a situation where like this many trees need to be replaced, and I understand it was primarily drought conditions. But how long do you think we should extend the maintenance period? I think that would be a fair way of doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it needs to be another 18 months, but I guess we don't want to see it to reoccur. We could have another drought this year. I don't know.
Well-
I think we'd want to see the college do something about, watering the tree. There are devices you can use to keep trees alive.
Yeah.
And I very much appreciate that, and I've had that conversation with them. I guess my concern here is, as the developer, we did our piece, and I'm happy to, well, I won't say I'm happy. I am more than willing to replace those trees, and I'll make sure that the other components are done. But, we've never been in a situation where, again, there could be another drought, something could happen if the school's not maintaining. To some extent, I just don't want to keep this open. Again, keeping the letter of credit, so, it gets expensive. There are, the inspections. How do we get past the point where I'm 3 years almost past construction?
What you could do is get the non-grass and trees. Get that done, ask for that release of escrow. In the meantime, plant those trees and grass. We'll look at this maybe October for those items, see if they've caught, for lack of a better description, if they seem to be growing. We can look at that. If there's still an issue, we can discuss how much is involved with the trees. Maybe you do a cash escrow for the trees.
Yeah, most landscapers will also offer you a warranty to survive. I mean, so if you're buying trees in bulk, and you may know this already, the landscaper or whoever's providing the trees, generally, if they're planting them, they will provide a guarantee that they'll
No,
withstand the growing
and
season.
yes, my experience with them is that the guarantee's for 1 year, and now that we're several years past that, typically we get a 1-year guarantee on our trees. And I guess that was going to be my question: is if we solve everything else except for if we're able to fix everything else and we take the tree component off, if we have those replaced, would it be reasonable to? And again, whether it's a cash escrow or some smaller amount, I'll find out what the cost of the trees are, and once we do, we can replace that. But keeping the letter of credit open is becoming a little punitive on us because it's hard to do things with our lending institution. If we solve for the other pieces, would it be possible, we can solve everything else on this list? And then, again, the trash enclosure is is a component again. I think the school just put those, I know the enclosure was built to the plans. I think this particular issue is at the end of the year, they added extra dumpsters to clean out the building, but I'll double check. It's what I was told. Would it be possible to solve the issues that Jerome raised in the letter, buy those trees, but then convert this over to a much smaller, we'll put a cash amount in there. My concern being that in 6, 12, or 18 months, I'm not even sure if we plant trees in June, what that means for the summer. They could wind up not being able to be
Yes.
planted until October.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, you're approaching the season when it's not the wisest time to be planting trees. You would be better off waiting until August, September.
And my guess is I'm going to have a conversation with the college about who's responsible for those. And I know that it's not a significant number. We'll work with them on that, but that's really my other concern is I would think it would be irresponsible to plant trees in June or July and then just watch them die again anyway.
Yeah.
But you can post the escrow. We're not gonna release the other escrow until we have escrow for the trees. So whenever you want, if you plant them now, if you plant them in August, or September, I'm not an arborist, I don't know. But whenever you do that, if you get the other items approved, once we get the escrow for the trees, we can release the letter of credit.
Okay,
for
so would it
everything.
be,
So we have something.
ma'am, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So is what I'm hearing, if we get everything else taken care of, once I get a price for the trees and let's say to reseed the grass, if we were to do that, but then maybe offer a cash bond of the same amount, would that suffice to release the letter of credit, but just leave the cash component there with you guys for 18 months, let's say, or 6 months, or whatever the number? I mean, 18 seemed a little extreme, but
A year to make sure they,
Makes sense to, reduce the amount to us.
I'm thinking of taking it all the way down.
Occupy a letter of credit.
Yeah, I'm thinking about taking it all the way down to 20,000,
Yeah.
and take care of the other things.
Yeah.
But going back to what I was trying to say about the, whoever the landscaper is, once they plant the trees, and it's gonna be then guaranteed, the new trees that are gonna be planted are then gonna be guaranteed for a year. So you'll have that obligation then yourself then to complete that. I think we can close this out, maintain a $20,000 balance.
including inspection fees.
Including inspection fees, so maybe 25,000, we'll take it to, and then call it a day, but yeah, the $120,695.71, if we take it down to 25, I think that's good.
Yeah, we just had to have a conversation with the planning financial person to make sure they can track that. But I think we can work through that. I think that's a small hurdle to overcome. We just had.
no, and I very much appreciate that. What we did with the last release, if it's helpful, is the planning commission issued a letter to our lender, effectively reducing the letter of credit, which gets reissued. And the reason it came up is that has to get reissued. They'll give me a grace period, but it's typically the end of this month. And so what happened was when the planning commission agreed to reduce the escrow amount down to the 120 that's there now, when my lender or my financial institution, they redid the letter of credit, they just redid it for the smaller amount and, presented it to your council to sign off on. I'm assuming we can do the same thing. And again, if we can do that, what'll happen is we would then have all the things corrected. We'll order the new trees working with the college. And I'm hoping what I'm hearing to Jerome's point is once we get those planted in the fall, they will whenever we're told we can, those will come with a 1-year warranty. So effectively we'll have satisfied everything and then can reduce further to close out. Is that a reasonable course of action?
Will you accept the warranty?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, the warranty would be,
Okay,
would work.
so provide us a copy of the warranty, I think, along with when you request for the tree escrow to be released. I think we want a copy of the warranty. So we can be
Absolutely.
able to- Yeah, and just regarding the financial institution, either the letter reducing the letter releasing it would be contingent, or my preference would be for you come in, give us a $25,000 check or cash, and we hand you over the letter of credit. But we're not
Okay,
going to
just-
totally release the letter of credit until we have something in hand for the trees.
Okay, so, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Just so I understand, are we looking at a reduction of the letter of credit? Or is it, if I am willing to post 25,000 in cash, we can remove the letter of credit altogether?
The second.
Okay, that would be great.
Either or, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's your
Good.
preference, but if
I
you,
like to.
yeah, if you do the $25,000 in cash, provided the financial consultant's okay with that, which again, I don't see an issue with, we would release the letter of credit in its entirety. But we're not gonna release it until we have the cash in hand.
Understood. All right. So what I can do is, and again, I'm sorry, just making my own notes here, just to make sure I understand correctly. I'm instructing our construction manager and or the college to, sorry, I'm pulling up the list I got from while I'm doing this. I apologize. So they will look at the traffic control signs, the handicap ramp, which I've already been told has been ordered to get done. The driveway apron, I know that was a pre-existing condition before we built this. I'm going to ask them to fill that in. And I'll speak to the college about the waste pad site. Again, my understanding is that just happened to be a one-time thing because of the end of year. So I'll
Yeah.
have those all addressed. And then we will get a price and a timeline of delivery and warranty on the trees. And then once we do all that, but in the interim, provided the finance group says okay, you guys will release a letter of credit in exchange for the $25,000 posting of just cash, which we will facilitate.
Yes.
Just to clarify something, on the trash matter, the Albright students have moved out for the semester. The city has an ordinance about dumpsters, but that matter is not a planning matter. The issue here is that, and our consultant could clarify further, I believe it's in the review letter, is that the trash area has to be enclosed. There has to be some sort of a gate or something.
Yes, that's correct, and then it is a zoning matter, by the way.
So if they're just temporary
zoning.
dumpsters, they don't necessarily need to be enclosed. I think that actually goes through Public Works maybe,
It's in the ordinance, it's in the zoning ordinance,
not if it's a temporary dumpster.
but it's a permanent dumpster.
Why are you saying that there's permanent and then temporary in addition to it?
Yeah, the permanent one needs to be enclosed, but not the temporary ones. The temporary ones, I
Right.
think it's just maybe permit through Public Works.
Oh.
Right,
But it doesn't have a.
right. Every dumpster has to have a permit, but that's not a zoning. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
zoning.
And
it's not-
again,
No, it is.
No, and I'm sorry. And
Alright.
I assume there was, and I will double check about the gate that I thought had been there permanently. And I'll, again, please remember that while we developed and built the building for the college, once we turned it over for their maintenance, I really am not involved in those day-to-day decisions. So I will reach out to them. I will bring their facilities team into this, and I'll make sure I'll make sure it does work out to, we'll get everything resolved.
Right, thank you.
Jeff-
And I would
Jeffrey,
highly recommend you consult, as somebody mentioned earlier, I believe, with the city arborist on the timing of the planting with the given species that you're going to be planting. Does somebody else want to comment?
Jeffrey, I think that there was a fence on the solid waste disposal area at one time.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to it.
I think the college took it down, to be honest with you, and that's really why I'm struggling with some of the things here, because obviously it was on the required plan when I built it, and obviously we built it to a required plan because we got a sign off on all of that. So that's why I was surprised when I saw that particular note. And I'm wondering, I don't know why they would have removed that. I really don't know why. And that's why I was surprised when I saw it on the note, because again, and I apologize, because we finished our construction projects up there. I'm just, not up in the Reading area on a regular basis anymore. And I had no idea those things had happened because the school is responsible for the maintenance of the property.
Yeah, I think I have pictures from other inspections with the fence, but the picture that I took, yeah, it obviously doesn't have a fence.
Okay, no, yes. So what I'll do is, if you can just bear with me for a little bit, what is the best approach here? Jerome, is it to me to be in direct contact with you to have, obviously, while there are a number of things here, and I never like to call them minor, the trees notwithstanding, I feel like everything else can be fixed pretty quickly. What's the best approach here? Because obviously I'll need to bring the school into this. I don't know what their summer schedules are like, and we'll work through some of the rest of it.
And I would direct it to Simon, and then you can copy myself and Tim.
I'm sorry, who directed to who and copy you? I apologize.
Simon Wangolo, the planning manager for the city of Reading.
Okay, thank you.
And then you can copy myself, Tim, and Emily.
Okay. All right. I can take care of that.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate your cooperation in this regard. I'm glad that you came here and commented. That was very helpful.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
So the request is for reaffirmation. What is the recommendation? Should we table that until next month, or what is the recommendation?
It's not for reaffirmation, it's for an escrow release.
Oh, I'm sorry, I read the wrong line. I do that. Escrow release. Thank you. Yes. Is that we table it until these matters, we have more clarity on them?
No, I think what was decided was that we would release
No,
the
we're not releasing anything until they do the other work.
Okay. So I guess.
Right. I know we have a plan, but right, I didn't think we were ready yet.
All right.
So procedurally, should we table this then, council?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Right. But we all understand we have a framework conceptually here, how to resolve this in as quickly and fairly and appropriately a manner for the interest of all stakeholders. So is there any
I'm
comments or
sorry,
questions?
Well, I
Go ahead,
apologize.
Tim.
I thought we said we were going to release the letter of credit in exchange for 25,000 in cash.
No, you're not until you do the other things. Once you redo the other things, the painting of the handicap, I don't have the list.
Street signs.
The street signs, the gate. So if you get those done before the next meeting, that's what we would do.
Curb.
And
Okay.
is your letter of credit expiring? Because we're supposed to have 45 days notice. Because if it's expiring, we're going to submit a claim against it.
No, ma'am, they don't expire. They renew annually.
Okay, are they renewing it? Because under the improvements agreement, it has to be renewed.
Yes, that's why I reached out, because if we were going to get a closeout, it would, in lieu of renewing, it would do this. I believe that the lender reached out to your counsel for the information, but we can double check. But it automatically renews on an annual basis, which is why we came in and asked for the release.
Okay. As long as it's not going to expire before the June meeting.
No,
Are they
and
gonna-
again,
are they
it doesn't
gonna renew it?
expire. It just automatically renews.
Okay, is it going to be automatically renewed?
Yes.
Okay.
And I presume it has been automatically renewed up to this point every year.
Correct.
Okay. Do any commissioners have any questions or concerns, comments? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to table the Albright Exeter Hall LDP Municipal Improvements Maintenance Escrow Release until the June regular meeting.
I'll make the motion.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Well, thank you, sir. We hope that all these matters can be resolved by next month's meeting so we can approve the escrow release.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good night. Hey, that takes us to the next one. It's the Hope Rescue Mission Development escrow release also, which and it goes back to 2019. I don't remember what year we had approved it. It's going through a number of, I think, approvals and reaffirmations also. Is there anyone here for Hope Rescue? If not, our planning consultant, if you would please give us the brief overview.
So we had the only thing that was remaining on this project was the as-built plans. As-built plans have been prepared. Both myself and Public Works has made comments. They have made the revisions accordingly. So therefore, I think the remaining amount, I believe it was $1,500. Do not have the number in front of me. But the remaining funds held in escrow for this project, which was just for the as-built plan, can be released. Okay.
Anything from Public Works? Thank you, Jerome.
Yeah, no, I'm
Anything
in
from
agreement.
Public Works?
Yes,
go
as-built
ahead.
plans are approved.
All right. Any questions, concerns from commissioners? If not, then is there a motion to approve the escrow release for the Hope Rescue Mission Development?
To move.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Anyone?
I'll second.
Going once?
Commissioner Harris.
I'll second. Is it?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Commissioner Harris. Thank you. It's moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. And the third one is the RSD STEM Academy, and that's what we covered earlier. Am I correct? That's the same matter, right?
No, this is better addressed.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes, this is covered.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So we can move on then to waivers. And the first one, again, was the subdivision land development ordinance waiver for 1207 Orchard Road, which we did earlier, which takes us to B, which is 1501 Mineral, it should be Mineral Spring, no S on the end, Road. And is there someone here to present on this one? I'm familiar with the property. I know this was the Hawthorne, which was the nursing home at, let's see, that would be the northeast corner of, what is that considered there? Clymer and Mineral Spring Road. And it was the home of George Baer, the president of the Philadelphia Reading Railroad, and it has now been converted to apartments. Is there anyone to present? If not, Jerome, would you like to present anything on this waiver request?
There is no waiver request that we have in writing, just argumental emails back and forth.
Okay, so they're looking for a waiver from land development because, I mean, what could you shed on it?
Just the fact that it's being converted from the nursing home to a residential apartment use. It went through the zoning hearing board and concluded that if required, the land development plan shall be submitted. And I went back and forth with the developer and indicated that if he wants a waiver of the land development plan, then he should request it in writing. I have
Right.
not seen one.
Right, so he didn't effectively, in any of the emails, specifically expressly request it, in other words. Okay. So this
Just
is more for
arguing that.
information purposes then.
Yeah, I was expecting that you would have the letter.
So we're expecting to have it by
Or
now,
somebody to
but,
be here in 10, yep. Go ahead, sir.
We're expecting to have it by now, by the time we're working on this, but somehow we don't have it, so, and we don't seem to have anyone here to present on the property.
Did you say for next month?
Yes, we can move this to the next month. I support that.
Okay. So because we have not received a request expressly, a formal request, we don't need to table it because this is just an information item. Would that be correct, counsel? So I'm asking more of
Correct.
a parliamentary
So,
question,
yeah, just-
but I mean, it's partly,
Yeah,
it's an act, has to do with the ordinance. Go ahead, sorry.
They're not asking, there's not been an official request, so there's no action.
Right,
required
so
on
we
the
don't,
official
there's no action here, so we don't need to take any action. We'll just wait and hope that they come before us next month. I saw it advertised as, what's it, something like Gables or something, I forget what they call it. Do you remember, Jerome, what it's called? Because which makes sense because the Hawthorne, Nathaniel Hawthorne was the author of the novel, House of the Seven Gables, and this house has more than seven actually, but has a lot of gables on it. So it looked like, they were respecting the architecture and the history of it. I'm trying to remember what they call it. I don't know if they call it Seven Gables or Gables Luxury Apartments, I think it was called. And it is in the Penns Common Historic District, I believe, right?
We were talking to Amy this morning, and I think it's located outside of the historic district.
Is that right? Interesting.
I
We'll have to get confirmation then, yes. Okay, so then that is it for now, just an information item, thank you. So we will move on, unless there's any other comments, questions, or concerns from commissioners or anybody else. We will move on to item 12, zoning ordinance amendments, the short-term rentals. I know this was presented at the workshop. If our planning consultant would please introduce this subject.
Yes, would be to allow short-term rentals in certain zoning districts with specific conditions or regulations that are required. Those are before you. Berks County does not have many, or if not any, provisions for short-term rentals. They do have other similar provisions for secondary homes and things like that. But what the staff did was we put together a set of reasonable conditions. The only thing that we have remaining as far as a struggle is if we allow this in the R3 zoning district or allow it in the R3 zoning district by special exception. We allowed it within the CC, CR, CN, and CH zoning districts by right. As you recall, Matt provided his input at the workshop session in which he provided an outline of what case law stating, and it is technically a commercial use since it's going to be occupied. So that's where we go back to the R3 zoning district. Should we allow it in the R3 district? And if so, should it be by special exception? That's the only thing we have to make an edit for. The other remaining provisions that are in the ordinance itself, we'll have a lot of time to look at because we haven't submitted it to the county yet. I just wanted to make sure that we had a draft that we all could agree upon. But it definitely, the feedback I got from admin was that not by right in the R3 zoning district. It's either special exception or not at all.
Yeah. These distances, so I mean, but 1,000 feet or even 500 feet, you know, we're essentially discouraging this to be a significant thing. 500 feet, I don't know what a city block is. Something like that.
It's about 500 feet, yeah.
Yeah, so one per block. This is really essentially discouraging it. And that's really the question that I would have is, are we trying to do this to facilitate it, to enable it, or just if it?
I would
It's a
say
rare instance that it occurs, that we have some regulation around.
to allow it with reasonable conditions. And if there is, say, like a block where there's 3 or 4 of them on it, then unfortunately, the people coming in at the end need a variance.
Variance to zoning, this is an amending the zoning.
To those distances.
You know, I having experienced Airbnbs and the like, you know, in many cities, the US and around the world, this is an attractive feature to those cities to add to tourism. If they're run as boarding houses, trying to avoid, you know, that's another story, and maybe some other language that we can use to that sort of thing.
Well, we define boarding house in the zoning ordinance, so these can't be confused with it.
So I don't know what there's some maximum duration of a stay or some way.
It's in there.
But my gut sense is that we should be encouraged on this.
What I'm hearing you saying that 500 feet is too far, it is too far.
In this commercial districts. And then in the residential district, if we keep it in the R3 district, it's 1,000.
Could you reduce 1,000 feet if they had off-street parking? Because my experience, even in the outlying municipalities, it's parking and partying are the big issues.
Well, yeah, and I think that would make sense. That where they occur, there should be a parking facility for that.
We do address the park.
Oh, okay, they do have to have off-street parking? Okay. Well, maybe.
Or have it within or designated. Have at least agreement within the garage.
Maybe if they provide additional off-street parking, you could reduce 1,000 feet or something along those lines. And I think that's where the city's gonna get the complaints, and I know.
We have time to work on that, tweak that. The most important thing at this juncture was, do we allow it in the R3 district or not?
And the R3 is your higher density?
Higher density housing.
Yeah, the 3 is that is good. I was gonna bring that up. The 3 and for the workshop, I don't think it was explained for the other members of the public. The R3 is the most dense and R1 the least dense. We actually have an R1A, but that's only in one area. Thank you. We're talking about residential. And just so we're clear too on this, we're talking here about, we say short-term rentals, so everyone understands. I know it was brought up at the workshop. We're talking about like Airbnb, and that's the only one I'm familiar with. I know you mentioned another company's name, Jerome, I'm not familiar with. There's probably others. I don't know if people do this sort of thing independently or if it's only done through those companies or how it's done. Just so everyone knows what we're talking about.
We have at
Any
least
other
we have at
comments
least
from
30.
staff? What's that?
We have at least 30 of them in the city.
30 properties that are being used this way. Yeah, I think you mentioned that at the, so it's good to be proactive. And this is something that, it's coming up around the world, especially in tourist areas. And like Commissioner Rice said, we do have tourists we want to attract. And that's, so it makes sense, it's prudent to consider this subject. Does any other staff have anything to add before I go into the rest of the commission?
I think the short-term rentals, we have had a comprehensive discussion about that. We have basically input everything we thought that is important. One thing that we appreciate is the feedback that now we are getting to give us an opening to go back and rethink our idea of some of these distances that we have put in to make sure it meets all requirements, and basically we are, like Peter said, we want to encourage and we don't want to discourage. So I thank the commission for some of this feedback.
So basically, we're just
I
looking
just,
for.
thank
the right
you.
things for the art.
I didn't hear that, sorry.
We are looking for specific, feedback on the R3 district.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I think, again, I don't particularly like putting a distance on it, but if it's not by right and only by exception, that means that if it meets the requirements and there's not opposition to it, then it would generally be approved. And you know, the R3 is tricky. There could be community opposition. I know my neighbor wanted, I'm not an R3, but if it was under consideration, if my neighbor wanted to do it by exception, I would oppose that. So, you know, maybe that's just an acceptable vehicle to say, you know, you go through a process to get it, then I think that whether it's 200 feet away from another one or 2,000 feet away from another is sort of irrelevant. Whether it meets the criteria and goes through a process.
And I deferred to Matt because he had spoke on the subject, so I did not review this technically. Refresh my recollection. They have to be in single family dwellings. They cannot be in apartments in the R3. Because that's one thing I would make clear, that you can't take one of these R3 row houses that have been cut up into apartments and have 3 Airbnbs in it, or.
So a short term, it's the very first one, a short term rental may be permitted within the R3 zoning district, provided that it is contained within a conforming one family dwelling, detached dwelling, a one family semi-detached dwelling, and or a one family attached dwelling townhouse.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure it's not one of these where you're cutting up each floor into an apartment and they're trying to.
In the commercial districts, you can do it within an apartment building, but only have 20% designated as those types of uses.
yeah, but
Okay.
what
But in the
she's
R3
bringing up is a good question, because I've heard about this where the houses are, what are they called? They're like topped off, where one floor is being rented out to this is not necessarily legal, but one floor is being rented out to one and another floor to another and so on. I think that's what I forget what the term is, unless of course it's going through the zoning, you know, the process with the exception. I forget what we call that.
Is there any plan to introduce accessory dwelling units? Term is
Senior unit, senior relative, or.
no. It in many communities around the country, you can essentially convert your garage into a dwelling unit.
Oh, that's a whole other issue.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because that was a good question, Commissioner. I was thinking that too because of the it came up in the West Reading plan, the accessory dwelling units. But that's a topic for another. Yep, but definitely something we should think about.
Let's defer that until we have Emily here, and she gets a lot of experience on this. So let's just focus on this.
That's what I'm saying, right? But I had a couple technical things. One little grammar, minor thing was on B5. On B5.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is only.
Hold it.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I think Jerome's only looking for guidance on the R3. We're gonna provide it grammatically corrected.
Oh, all right.
We have plenty of time. So thank you.
Okay. You just want to focus on the R3. I did have a question on a substantive one on B12. A list of those rules and regulations shall be maintained at the short-term rental unit. Did we want to say, is this something other municipalities do, that the rules should be posted somewhere so they're visible? Just think about that.
No, I mean, I know this discussion's on the R3, but the short answer is yes. Some type of
because this
posting or
covers
some
every
type of needs.
check.
Yes.
Right, because it covers everything. Right. Thank you. Yeah, so the staff will,
Let's focus on the R3 zoning district, special exception or not at all.
Special exception is my thought. Special exception.
what do other commissioners think? Should it be special exception or should we not allow it at all?
I believe Commissioner Harris.
Special
I'm
exception.
only speaking for them.
Okay, good.
There's a preponderance of special exception sentiment here.
Okay.
It's
So
hard
we're
to identify the voices,
Also-
sorry.
So just for your knowledge, it was in special exception in all zoning districts initially. Then it was determined, no, it's gotta be by right. Then it was determined, no, just in the commercial districts. And then it was R3, the R3 was always the question. So I can report back, Simon can report back to staff saying, planning commission determined that the special exception would be the best for the R3.
Did Commissioner Benion give his, I heard his voice. Did you give your
Yeah.
thought?
Yeah, special exception, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
And,
You're welcome.
I'll go
Mr.
along with it, but
Chairman,
I'm sorry, it's hard for me to consider the one without the whole, because I know it was brought up at the workshop. It was a fair question, was, so my understanding correct, are we saying it's by right in R1?
No,
It's not allowed by in R1. You'd have to get a variance from zoning hearing board to have it in.
Would be a
use
variance in
variance.
R1 and a variance for R2. So I'm understanding the difference. So I understand what we're okay. Because I know we're silent on it, so okay. So it would be, okay.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Harris has a comment.
Hey, I
Oh,
just-
please, Commissioner, thank you.
Who's going to enforce this?
okay. That was one of the staff questions on with over regulating it, and then staff would have to then attempt to regulate it. So we thought, we used to have about 20-some regulations. So what we have in the back, page 4 and 5, was a supplemental regulations that would apply to it, and then the owner signs it. So yes, it's gonna be mostly police that would enforce this, but the zoning officer may have be able to do it too, but they would lose their license if they were found to be not in compliance with these regulations.
Because living here in the city for a few years now, I could see certain times of the year or events that are occurring, like the Jazz Fest, where people
Mhm.
are coming into town for multiple days, or if the hockey team starts to win, and they get into a playoff series where people are going to travel from out of state for the playoff game, will be here. And my neighborhood, Center Park, is, I think it's very eclectic. I could see them doing something like that here just for that week-long time and not even being aware of the regulations and who's going, unless something occurs negatively, like there's a, a fight or a fire or something, parking accident. No one's really going to
The
know.
existing ones that are listed on Airbnb and VRBO. Yeah, there's like there is like 30 of them, and are we get complaints on them? I don't know.
Yeah, I just looked them up while I'm sitting here. So it's like, there's so many,
How many did you see about?
like a dozen.
It all depends on what date you put in.
Yeah, exactly. I put it tomorrow. So, yeah, but I'm just curious of who's going to be the one enforcing this.
It'd be the zoning office as one of the primary, and it's also the police department. Police department would get called in for
Noise.
those types of nuisance violations. Yeah, it's a tough thing to regulate.
I think the property owner also has to be discerning about who they accept to rent their property, and there is, a rating system on these apps.
So I'm familiar with Philadelphia. There's tons of regulations in Philadelphia for hoteling and short-term and long-term, not over 120 days and everything. Inspections but it varies by city.
Simon will attest to this. One of the initial drafts we brought in was, we brought in like 3 different versions, and then one of them was way over regulated. And then it was determined that we can't control that. That's with the staff that we have, it's like, it's possible.
Right.
So, this is, we then cut it down to the things that were most critical. All right, so we'll make that adjustment initially, but then we'll open it back up for everyone ripping up the rest of it.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right, so your question.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's more like if something occurs, then at the time, a permit question would be asked. It's like, do you have a permit to host this, just a noise complaint or party? A lot of times kids will rent a spot that throw a party after graduation. So
I think one of the things I had, correct me if I'm wrong, is that our coding office also does some kind of inspection of some of the housing in the city. And the conversation that we are having is that as we introduce this ordinance, also coding office also charge inspecting and verifying some of this property. Perhaps now the responsibility comes to us, especially at the planning office, to kind of map out and identify how many we have in the city and what not necessarily existing, sure that they abide. But I think that is one of the resources that we're going to use.
yeah, I mean, I just know from my own experience before I moved to Reading, was in Douglasville, my son graduating class at Daniel Boone High School. All the kids rented a house somewhere out in the middle of nowhere and threw a big party. So,
That could be a special event, depending what, it's been a different type of regulation.
but it was an Airbnb that they got.
Oh,
Checked
okay.
it for an Airbnb, yeah.
Okay, then that's,
Well, 100 kids showing up at a house.
How they jumped to 25.
Craigslist, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Airbnb,
25.
Yeah, all their parents were like, where are you going? Oh, we're going out. And they hit an Airbnb. Or one parent signed off on it because they weren't.
Well, if that was your house and you were listing it on Airbnb and you suspected that it was a bunch of high school kids, I mean, this is, especially
Most of them have cameras.
yeah, well, and that's another thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so-
Yeah, your place is gonna get beat up. Let that happen, and they don't want that. I would find it.
So these are good,
This will be revised.
these are good questions and comments that we could continue to think about. I have other thoughts as well that we'll focus more on the substance of it overall, but at least we resolved the one matter you wanted direction on, the staff. So we don't need to take any action. This is just discussion item, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I think we did well on that. Thank you, everyone, for contributing, and that takes us to the next item, are the municipal comprehensive plan reviews for Burn Township and West Reading. First up is the Burn Township Comprehensive Plan. Again, I turn to our planning consultant.
This was initially discussed at our workshop session. The Burn Township Comprehensive Plan 2025 is generally consistent with our comprehensive plan and other ordinances. This plan itself does have goals, objectives, and policies for land use, natural features, agricultural resources, population, housing, environmental, and so on. And then they also have individual plans for the functional components, which are for housing, zoning, natural feature resources, community facilities, and transportation. I do not see any conflicts with the city of Reading. This is a very abbreviated plan, and therefore I don't see anything that's negative that would provide comments for. It's generally consistent with our plans.
Thank you for that review. Does anyone else on staff have anything to add? I know we did discuss at the workshop, but not everybody was there. If not, any commissioners have any comments? Question, go ahead.
My only recommendation when providing feedback to the Burn Township Burn Township was that we input this feedback on either the planning commission letterhead or we put it on the
Mhm.
city letterhead.
Yeah, I would
Okay,
recommend
so
a
when-
motion.
Go ahead, I was gonna ask what step to take. Go ahead.
Yeah, if there's no comment, I would make a recommendation to planning commission and make a motion that you have no comment. You find it generally,
Consistent.
consistent with borough, with that, township ordinance, city ordinances. I'll get there eventually.
Is that what we were asked to, it wasn't to recommend or something, it was just for comment?
Yes,
Okay, well, then that makes sense. So then, right, that's a good suggestion then from our planning manager that we put that in writing on letterhead. And if, I guess, who would sign that? The chairman of the commission or?
No, Simon.
yeah, authorize Simon to sign it.
That makes sense. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Okay, any comments or questions from commissioners? If not, is there a motion that we authorize a letter from our planning manager to Bern Township that we have no comment on the Bern Township comprehensive plan?
I'll make that motion.
And I'm sorry, and I should add that, should we add that we find it consistent with our plan, or we don't need to say that? I mean, I'm sorry, asking the staff.
You can just attach, Simon can just attach my review.
Okay.
We're going to work around.
That's a good idea, thank you. Is that acceptable to the mover?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Rye. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it and the motion is agreed to. That takes us to B, the West Reading Borough zoning amendment. And again,
First of all,
planning
Simon-
consultant,
Just going back to the
What?
previous ones, the letter is due by the end of the week.
Yeah, actually. Yeah,
okay,
I think yeah, which is.
very well.
All right.
All the better now. And he signs it himself, good, okay. Okay, so the West Reading, zoning amendments?
Okay, the West Reading, Borough, zoning ordinance, they are comprehensively amending their zoning ordinance to incorporate provisions that would be relative to the downtown overlay district, which they have developed. It will also involve several articles of their ordinance, which would deal with retail frontage overlay, the commercial frontage overlay, signs, supplemental regulations, and performance standards. It would also then change various other provisions of the ordinance, which they have provided the plan itself that identifies what's being changed by being crossed out, and then the new regulations being applied. So there'll be added definitions, revisions to all of the zoning districts themselves, the commercial and light industrial district as well, and the off-street parking. This is what they're proposing is a form of, or it's form-based zoning. And what form-based zoning is a portrayal of what your vision is. They've done that in their plan, and it's a great example for the city of Reading to attempt to take a look at and see if it would work for the city of Reading as well. But the areas that are adjacent to the city of Reading are identified as being either in the conservation zoning district. There's a small portion that's in the R2 district, small portion that's adjacent to the LI district, and a small portion again that's again by the conservation district. So all these adjacent zoning districts really don't have a critical impact to the downtown overlay district, which they're proposing. So basically, we have no impacts associated with us, or positive or negative. There are, it's virtually nothing. Other municipalities will have that are adjacent to these areas will, like such as Wyomissing, it probably does have impacts. But not
Okay,
us.
thank
When I say
you.
impacts, it's not not positive or negative.
Right. Right, and we had discussed this one also at the workshop. Does any other staff have any other comments or questions? If not, commissioners? I would only add one technical thing. On their map, they only list the one boundary on the river with the city of Reading and their boundary on the west side with Wyomissing Borough. They should list the adjoining municipality on every boundary. They don't have Reading listed on the bottom on the south side, or Cooper Township has an exclave there along the river, which is important. That's just my only suggestion, but that could be something informal. I don't want to come up the works with the process. If you would pass that along, that's just a suggestion. But other than that, everything was good. I thought it was a very good plan, interesting. And I think we could do the same process as we did with the Byrne Comprehensive Plan, which would be to authorize our planning manager to send a letter on the letterhead saying we have no comment and attach the review letter to it, if that sounds agreeable to everyone. And if so, is there a motion to that effect?
So move.
Anyone? Thank you, Commissioner. And somebody, it sounded like a second. I'll take it. That is a second. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Thank you. That takes us on item 14, the Vision Zero and Active Transportation Plan. There was the presentation at the workshop. Does anybody on staff want to add anything further?
This plan has been presented to the planning commission at least 3 times in the passing year, and some of it was during the last workshop. The administration and the consultant are moving forward with this plan to make sure that it is completed, but at the same time, there is a request that it goes through the planning commission for recommendation to the council, because the desire is to use this plan to apply for a grant that will be helping the city to implement part of this plan. So the request to the commission today is that we make a recommendation to the council so that this plan is presented to the council for adoption. The arrangement is that the plan will be presented to the council on 9 for them to take an action on it. Tim, I don't know if you have an addition to that.
You talking to me, Simon?
Yes,
Yeah.
we have an addition to the Vision Zero.
No, I think what's presented is good. I think it actually makes the active transportation plan a more holistic approach, engaging Vision Zero and the safety end of it. I think it's a better plan, and I do recommend it.
And for the public's understanding, the plan is to eliminate traffic-related fatalities and serious injuries. As was stated, the plan was presented at our workshop, and we were provided a copy. And are there any other comments questions from commissioners? If not, we would be asked here to give our recommendation to the city council, I believe. And is there a motion that we recommend the approval of the Downtown Reading Vision Zero Action Plan?
Yes.
It's been moved. Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? If
I was
not,
just
all
saying
those
that,
in
but-
favor, please go ahead. The question?
Not a question.
I heard
was,
somebody.
Making an endorsement, but that's okay.
An endorsement? Yeah, I was wondering, this is just a recommendation, so we don't need a formal document. It was a good question. Because it'll be in our minute, the resolution. And, the passage of this will be conveyed to the city council, right? That's the normal process?
Yes, the presentation will be on 9 to the council.
the 9th of
So, yeah, I
June,
make a
right,
motion to recommend, to recommend.
all
this
right,
to the
it's
city
moved in
council.
second, I believe. Is there any discussion further, any questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed, no. And the ayes have it, and we have adopted that motion. I think I'm gonna be doing motions in my sleep tonight. Okay. I've gotten this down with the lag, waiting for everybody else to vote. Okay, that takes us to, let's see. Reports. A, Planning Commission Annual Report. I know this document has been drafted by staff. Anybody would like to present on it, please?
Yes, the planning commission annual report is complete. We were doing the final edits on it with the help of Wayne. The only thing we need to do is just fill in the resolution numbers, in which my
Right.
office is doing. But this was adopted by you, and I will footnote the edits, and then it'll be presented to city council on June the 9th at 7 o'clock. At their 7
Very
o'clock
well.
meeting. So the report will be sent to them by the end of the week.
Great. Thank you. We appreciate, we've been keeping up to date on our annual reports. There have been a time with staff shortages in the past, different administrations where we had fallen behind. So it's great we're keeping up with this. Unless there's any other comments or questions, we take note of that. Thank you. Takes us to B, the Blighted Property Review Committee. I think Commissioner Rye, you're the representative of the body on that committee. Is there anything to report?
We just continue to do our thing. Actually, tomorrow is another meeting, so this is every 2 months. We now have established a working meeting prior to a determination meeting or a certification meeting, much like this planning commission is doing. There's been some turnover in the committee. Nick, named Eric, who's now been hired by the city as a code inspector. So he's no longer eligible to be on the board. He was the chair. So.
What position does he hold now?
He's, I think, a codes inspector. Is that right?
Oh, wow. Okay, well, we wish him well. He served a long time. The time I was on, he was serving, and I appreciate his service, and congratulations to him. Well, thank you for that report. And that takes us to other meetings attended by commission members and staff. I'm not aware of any. 16 plans requiring time extensions. Are there any for this month?
None at this moment.
Great. And public comments? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we're down to upcoming meetings. The next Planning Commission workshop will be June 17th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. And the regular Planning Commission meeting, June 24th at 6 p.m. the following Tuesday. And those meetings are on, what's the name of the room? And it's the third floor conference room?
That conference room, yes.
Right. I don't know if we had an official name. Okay.
That is
Anything for the good of the order? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, there is.
So, unanimous. The motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we are adjourned. And thank you all. Good job, everybody. Appreciate it.